Welcome to your Weather Impact Extended Weekend Forecast exclusively on 13 WMAZ+. I'm meteorologist Alex Pry. Each week, we're taking an in-depth look at your forecast ahead, along with giving you an inside look of what we're up to on the weather team. Let's jump right into it. For your weekend forecast ahead, we're going to start out with Future View and a little bit of a change for your Friday afternoon and evening plans as compared to the last couple of days. So as you see, 6 p.m. on Friday, we'll start out Future View with this pause point. Mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies. However, this has been the typical time frame that we've seen rain chances start to fire up during the warmest portion of each day over the past week. That not looking to be the case as we traverse through the early evening hours and any dinner time plans you may have for your Friday night. We actually finally see this line of rain, pretty good organization to the north and the northwest of us, creep in from the west starting around 9 to 10 p.m. Now this is going to be not an upper level disturbance, but more of a mid-level disturbance, not necessarily down at the surface, so it doesn't quite have as much moisture and warm temperatures to work with as the frontal boundary would have at the surface, but still a good amount of organization as we head into your Friday night hours, becoming a little bit widespread as we go into the midnight hour. Some darker colors obviously within this, maybe some yellows, maybe some oranges, and this will continue as we go into the overnight hours and very early morning on Saturday. And it does look like your best chance at seeing any of this rain, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms, will be the farther north that you live, maybe even north of Macon here. But once again, these models continue to fluctuate, so keep a close eye on the radar if you plan on being out during the later hours over the course of your Friday night. Then we go all the way to 6 a.m. on Saturday. Some partially clear skies, maybe the farther west that you do live, but it looks like most of the first half of your Saturday trending completely dry until we finally get into that warmest portion of the day, then kind of back to our swing of this early summer stretch. Seeing some scattered showers pop up, but nothing really organized in nature and nowhere near the organization and the clustering and the coverage that we have seen with some of the rain chances earlier this past week. So the rain chances don't look as prominent, I guess you could say, for your Saturday plans. Then we go into your Sunday morning, some higher level clouds, but still a beautiful sunrise should be in order if you're heading out the door around 7 to 8 a.m. for any early morning church services. And then we do have the potential for some more scattered showers throughout the day on Sunday, maybe even trying to mix in a thunderstorm or two as of the latest model run, but this is going to continue to fluctuate as well as we head into your Sunday night plans. So all in all, your weekend outlook, just going to tell you to keep that umbrella on standby. Still think about a 30% chance of seeing some showers, maybe even a lower end thunderstorm, probably below severe criteria, mainly for the nighttime hours on Friday. Because the warmest portion of the day is going to remain dry, I think we crawl up to a high temperature in the mid-80s. And then with the rain chances over your Saturday and Sunday, I do see them ticking down, but now getting a little bit of a better idea on Sunday. We may very well up this rain chance over the course of this weekend from 10%. So be sure you're tuning in to Ansley Parker and David Guerrero's forecast over your Saturday and your Sunday if you do have any plans that are outdoors that rain would complicate them. I believe we're going to crawl back into the upper 80s Saturday and Sunday in some areas. Obviously, if you get some rain, those temperatures will be a little bit cooler in light of that rain-cooled air, maybe top out somewhere in the upper 70s. And we saw that happen one day this past week up here in Macon. But I do believe the rain chances for Saturday and for your Sunday are not as impressive as what we have seen over the course of this past week and what's ahead for your Friday. Still starting out similar. Low 60s, maybe some upper 50s, going to be a pleasant feel in the air during the mornings. But along with those temperatures in the upper 80s, continuing to be a reminder that it can be a little bit too hot to trot for your pets if you're taking them on an afternoon walk. Concrete and asphalt temperatures can hover about 20 degrees warmer or even above that, maybe somewhere around 45 degrees warmer than the actual temperature. And that's just 85 degrees. Once we tick up into the 90s as May is fastly approaching, that concrete and asphalt temperature can get up to 140, maybe even close to 150 degrees in temperature. So with the warm weather, be sure you're giving your pets maybe some pair of shoes, trying to keep them on the grass. You don't want to leave them on those hard surfaces for an extended period of time, but also bring them a little portable bowl of water because these temperatures are warm and your pets definitely need to stay hydrated out on their afternoon walks. Now let's get into some of your event-specific forecasts, everything going on in Central Georgia this weekend. We've been talking about it a lot this week. The Georgia Strawberry Festival will be happening on Saturday in Taylor County, specifically the Reynolds area over at the Strawberry Patch. That will get going around 9 a.m. and conclude somewhere around 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Temperatures a little bit cooler in the morning hours as you do kickstart the Strawberry Festival, somewhere in the lower half of the 70s. During the afternoon, still going to have the potential for a scattered shower or two, not looking as confident in the way of storm chances, and temperatures will be somewhere in the mid-80s over in Taylor County for the end of your Strawberry Festival. But if you're taking a trip down to the southeast, the Vidalia Onion Festival will be going on all weekend long. And you'll notice that this is going to be a bit of a different forecast because Vidalia is in our far southeastern corridor in Central Georgia as you go down I-16, excuse me. So Friday, not looking like anything in the way of rain chances. Like I was showing you on Future View, the farther north that you live, you have a chance of seeing a shower or a thunderstorm throughout the nighttime hours on Friday. Vidalia is going to fall a little bit too far south of that line, but these temperatures are going to hover a little bit warmer. And then the farther south and southeast that you are for Saturday and Sunday, you could see the potential for a scattered storm in nature. Hopefully it is going to be pretty short-lived. We won't see them kind of clustering together like we have seen with recent severe thunderstorm warnings. So I've maintained a 20% chance of maybe seeing a shower or a thunderstorm. But if you luck out and don't see any rain on Saturday and Sunday, just going to be treated to partly cloudy skies and temperatures in the upper 80s and maybe a little bit cooler down into the mid 80s for your Sunday down in Vidalia. Now let's take it all around the diamond. We have 3 baseball forecasts to give you. It's really funny how all these Georgia teams are in town virtually during the same time periods. So Mercer Baseball, 3-game series with UNC Greensboro at Ortho Georgia Park here in Macon this weekend. All in all, each game Friday, Saturday into Sunday going to have pretty much similar temperatures, either 84, the mid 80s and such, but partly cloudy skies and the chance of seeing a light shower or maybe a steady shower. Just bring the umbrella out to each and every game that you are going to. I would say game 1 on Friday night is looking like it will probably be the lesser of the rain chances because Saturday at 2 p.m., Sunday at 1 p.m., that's when temperatures are continuing to climb. And we can maybe get an early start to that rain. We've seen rain pop up as early as about 1, 2, maybe even the midday hour over the course of the last few days. Sunset going to be at 8:12, and that's really only going to pertain to game 1 Friday night at 6 p.m. The sun will begin to set as you're heading into probably the last 3 or 4 innings of the ball game. Georgia baseball already played game 1 on Thursday night and unfortunately lost their 5th game in a row. So I'm going to need some of you to take a trip up 441 and wish the Dogs some good luck. Got to turn it around as they're heading into the end of baseball season. They are squaring off against number 14 Oklahoma at Foley Field, one of those new SEC opponents this year. Game 2 going to be Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. Some partly cloudy skies, but maybe a shower or two, so bringing the umbrella is always a wise choice. Better to be safe than sorry. And then game 3, Saturday at noon, getting warmer as the game does progress on. 77 and sunny skies should be what you're treated to up in Athens for the start of your game 3 on Saturday afternoon. And then Georgia Tech will be squaring off against the Virginia Cavaliers up in Atlanta at Rush Chandler Stadium. Game 1 going to be Friday night at 6 p.m. Temperatures in the lower 80s, maybe some late inning rain as you kind of get into the nighttime hours. Remember when I was showing Future View, a lot of that rain was to the north and the northwest of us, and that's going to be the metro Atlanta area. So bring the umbrella for game 1. Maybe bring it for game 2 as well, even at the least going to be a warm game. So bring something in the way of sunscreen and a water bottle to make sure you're staying hydrated. And game 3 is Sunday at 1 p.m. to close out the series. Partly cloudy skies, a little less of an impressive rain chance for that. Grillcast for your weekend ahead. I put some yellow spatulas on there to maybe cover the bases, and now kind of looking back on it, I would probably put a yellow spatula on Sunday as well. You may have to duck and dodge a shower or two, but overall it is more likely than not that you will remain dry as opposed to seeing any of these rain showers. Just have a little bit of caution before heading out to the grill, maybe checking the radar before filling up your pan with all your goodies, all your grill utensils, and whatever you and your family are planning on indulging on for your family cookout this weekend. And it may be a little bit premature, but we will be into the month of May as of next week. So I do believe a pull forecast is probably warranted with some warm temperatures. Chance for afternoon showers just about each and every day. Not more so your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday you could run into a shower or two, but you are more likely to be dry like I have been saying. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, so that will be above average temperatures. A steady breeze, it will be varying in direction, and sunset at 8:12 this weekend. So even if you don't make it out to the pool until about 6, 7 o'clock, still have a little bit of sunlight to enjoy the beautiful weather if it isn't raining all across the pool. So allergy monitor, we have seen a little bit of a change in this. Tree pollen, it has been at high and very high levels as of recent weeks. Now it is going to be down to virtually none as we go across the course of this weekend. So that's a big win right there. Grass pollen is still going to remain very high and probably the main source of any of your sniffles and your sneezes. Ragweed levels have been at none for a while and they still do remain there. But mold levels are also up to moderate, probably in light of a lot of the rain that we've received in the scattered nature over this past week. So that's what's going to pertain to your allergy forecast for this weekend. Continue to make sure you're not spending too long of a time outside. But if you want to wash off, get that pollen off any of your clothes and such, the pool is going to be a great way to do it this weekend. So my recommended attire all weekend long, t-shirts, shorts, going to be beautiful weather and it's going to be on the warmer side. But along with that, there's probably going to be a few other things that you don't need that aren't necessarily clothes. The water bottle, I mentioned it, you're going to want to stay hydrated along with keeping your furry friends hydrated if you're taking them out on a walk. Sunscreen, because it will be partly cloudy skies, so definitely not going to be continuous sunlight, but it's not going to take much for you to get burnt. That UV index is definitely getting up there. And a pair of shades, you're probably going to want that when it is sunny outside, but maybe needing the umbrella as well. Just always keep that on standby when we have these scattered rain chances that can pop up during the warmest part of the day. Pretty unpredictable in terms of location where they will pop up. No rhyme or reason, just where the humidity is sufficient and where the temperatures are warm enough to allow that moisture to rise up into the sky. So the good news is the rain chances are looking less impressive for this week as opposed to what we've seen over the last week. Even a couple of severe thunderstorms popped up with a hazard we haven't seen in a little bit, and that would be hail. So why does this summer-like stretch that we've been under contribute to the formation of hail? Lucky for you, David Guerrero has that answer.
Yeah, that's right. Central Georgia has been no stranger to the large hail as we've had 3 severe thunderstorms that were directly caused by the hail. And the reason why we've had large hail stems from the warm weather. We've had temperatures well into the 80s, and with the warm air and a hint of moisture, well, it rises, and that's where we get a rising stream of air, and the warm air expands in the atmosphere. That's where we get clouds and these pop-up storms that we've been seeing today and the past couple of days. This is why we call it a summertime pattern. Now, when the storm develops, the stream of air becomes more organized, gains strength and wind speed. So inside the storm, we have something called an updraft. Now, with an updraft, it takes all the water droplets that were supposed to fall as rain, well, it gets pushed up towards a layer in the atmosphere, which is below freezing. So every time it gets pushed up in the freezing area, it gains an additional layer of ice around the freezing droplet. So this is why it gains layers of ice and it grows in size. So it'll get into a vicious cycle where it'll try to come down and then the updraft pushes this water droplet, gains in size. It then grows too large and becomes too heavy where it goes and falls to the ground finally. So in terms of what causes a severe thunderstorm with hail, it has to go over an inch in diameter. Now, yesterday in Macon and earlier today in Johnson County, it reached over an inch and a half in diameter, which is similar to ping pong sized hail. Now, there are times when hail can go up to 4.5 inches in diameter, which is similar to a grapefruit. So hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon, but hail can be more frequent as we approach the summertime months, especially June and July.
And ironically enough, after David was doing a breakout on hail on Wednesday, he went out to Taylor County this past Thursday and got to experience one of those hailstorms real life in person. But you've heard us continue to reference the spring season as the severe weather season here in Central Georgia. And April ranks as one of the most active months of all the season. Meteorologist Ansley Parker breaks down the month of April by the numbers.
All right, well, we are getting ready to wrap up April and head into May, but it was certainly an interesting April, and there's some interesting facts about the month of April in comparison to the other months that we're going to dive into on this week's Weather IQ. Now, even though it's been a fairly calm weather pattern that we've been under for the past couple of weeks, we know somewhere in the back of our minds that we're still in the thick, in fact, in the peak of our severe weather season that runs from March until May. And if we take a look at different kinds of severe weather throughout the year, talking specifically about tornadoes and when they occur, you can see that April takes the cake with over 450 tornadoes in the past 74 years in the month of April. So typically, April is a very active severe weather month. But despite that, you would think that that would mean that we'd have a lot of rainfall for the month of April. That and that old wives' tale, April showers bring May flowers. But taking a look at rainfall for the past 30 years on a month-by-month basis, I found that April ranks the number 4 driest month out of all the months in the year. Now, in terms of this April, we actually have exceeded the average rainfall that we normally see in the month of April. Our severe weather system from the early part of the month brought us a very good 4 inches of rain here in the Macon area. So that's just some interesting facts that you may not have known about the month of May, and hopefully we keep our calm weather pattern as we close out this month and head into the end of our severe weather season. With your Weather IQ, I'm meteorologist Ansley Parker.
Now, we'd like to give you a glimpse at some of the fun we've had outside of the Weather Center recently. David Guerrero took a trip down to Taylor County that I mentioned this past week to talk to a special guest about what's ahead for the Georgia Strawberry Festival.
Well, I'm here in Reynolds in Taylor County. I'm with Peyton Wainwright. He is the owner of the Strawberry Patch here in Reynolds. And Peyton, how excited are you about the Strawberry Festival that's going on Saturday?
I'm ecstatic. This is my favorite day of the year. It's the sweetest day of the year. It's the best day. It's going to be a great day. The strawberries are looking good. We just had a little storm come through, but we didn't get as much damage as we thought. The field will be open for picking. The parking for the trolleys will run all day. They're going to be at 42 Racetrack Road right across the street.
And what can the people expect in terms of the events that could be offered for Saturday?
So we have lawnmower racing, spelling bees, shortcake contests. There's a ton of events going on downtown and a ton of vendors too there.
Yes. Oh, of course. The vendors are the most important thing.
The downtown will be packed. It'll be a great time.
And as you heard it here first, it's going to be amazing. The atmosphere is going to be fantastic. Now, the final question, the most important question, will you be serving this amazing ice cream that I'm just having? It's right now dripping a little bit, but it's been fantastic so far. Will this be served at the festival?
Yes. So inside the hut here at the Strawberry Patch, we'll have 2 ice cream machines going fast as they can. We'll have some pre-made uptown and out here, and world famous.
Well, that is one of the best reasons to come to the Strawberry Festival because it's going to be fantastic. The atmosphere is going to be great. Great strawberries and great strawberry ice cream. So come on down to Reynolds for a good time.
Yes, and Taylor County was nice enough to have both David and myself out earlier this week, and we got to judge 5 delicious strawberry dishes from restaurants in Reynolds and Butler, so you definitely have to go out there and make sure you try some of those delicious strawberry delicacies. But now let's take a look at the second half of your 7-day forecast and what's in store beyond that. Taking a look at your long-range models and picking them up right on Monday morning. Both models seemingly thinking that we could see maybe some scattered showers lingering into the early morning hours on Monday, maybe having some implications for your morning commute or heading out to the bus stop. But the moisture that we have in place does remain in place for most of the extended forecast. So as we go into those last few days of April and the beginning of May next week, this is Monday at 6 p.m., continuing to see scattered showers being possible. It is the same story as we go into Tuesday at 6 p.m. But note, another system on the horizon up to the west and the northwest. Looks like it's taking pretty good shape and a lot of agreement amongst the GFS and the Euro on this. Will this finally sweep through central Georgia and push out all of that slightly more humid air and usher in a little bit of drier air? Well, you can see we traverse through Wednesday afternoon, and this boundary looks like it's going to do the same thing that our boundary this past week did. It is going to park itself to the north of us. However, the good news is it looks like most of the rain chances associated with an eventually stationary boundary will remain up to the north of us in states like Kentucky and Tennessee, and then back over to the west where another system finally actually looks to kick that into gear and eventually make its push into the southeast United States. Thursday at 6 p.m. we still have scattered shower potential that will exist for each day next week, and we'll fine tune that once we can get a view of it on the short range models as we head into next week. But there is looking like there may be some relief in sight. This system actually does move into the state of Georgia, maybe eventually through if we play the long range models a little bit farther, but this is as far as they do go right now. Friday at 3 p.m., maybe some source of widespread rain all across the state of Georgia. So anyone that hasn't been very lucky as of the past week or so with the scattered showers and thunderstorms, you are looking to get your fill of some rain as we go throughout the next 7 days, more so towards the tail end of it heading into the work week next week. So in terms of your afternoon highs, still not much fluctuation whatsoever because that warm and that slightly humid air mass will remain in place. Nothing's going to really push it out of here until maybe late next week. 84 for a high on Monday, and then getting a little bit too close to comfort for those 90s. I have mentioned that we need the 90s to hold off until at least the month of May. We don't necessarily need it, but it would be very beneficial because once you get into May, that's when it's kind of an early preview of summer. Well, that first day of May is going to be next Thursday, 89 for a forecasted high on Wednesday. That would be so funny if Mother Nature did pop up a 90 or two on the very last day of April after I've been continuing to say, let's keep the 90s out of here until at least May. Morning lows, stairs stepping up around the 60-degree mark on Monday and going all the way up to maybe 63 by the time we start out our Thursday. Still has that pleasant feel in the air and not needing the light layering whatsoever as you head out the door. All of these temperatures above the average low of 53 degrees for this time of year. So now let's take a look at your temperatures past your 7-day forecast. This is going to start May 2nd, so that will be next Friday and go all the way into about next Wednesday or Thursday after that. That first full week of May, it is looking like we have a slight probability. So we're just one box over from the normal probability of seeing those near normal temperatures. So we have a little bit of a slight probability of continuing to see above average temperatures. The 80s are going to become more frequent as we go into the warmer months of the year. An average high around this time of year is about 80 degrees, so maybe somewhere in the lower end of the 80s, pretty similar to what our temperatures have been over the last week. Let's go for the same date range, May 2nd through 8th for the precipitation outlook. And this graphic is definitely looking like your Neapolitan or 3-layer ice cream right here, because you go a little bit up to the north and the northwest, there's actually a slight probability of being below average in terms of rainfall. The near normal level, that kind of gray area right in the middle of the scale, is to the north of us in areas like Metro Atlanta, the North Georgia mountains, but we have a slight probability of being above normal, and that probability does increase as you make your way down south towards the Panhandle and Peninsula of Florida. We're going to continue to see how these models fluctuate over the next couple of days as we get kind of a rough idea of what your forecast is 7 days plus out. But right now it does look like temperatures will remain somewhere in the 80s, probably the lower half of the 80s for the first week of May. And we also will see our fair share of rain systems starting to approach, maybe even just being of the scattered shower and maybe even thunderstorm variety like this past week. So we did get some areas of rain, but Middle Georgia Regional Airport did not luck out with much. I think the only day that they did receive any form of measurable rain was this past Thursday, and they only recorded a trace of rain, which is even below the threshold of 1/100th of an inch. So we really haven't seen anything besides this green box for April continue to tick down after it started out very, very high with getting a lot of rain from one of our severe weather systems a couple weeks back. So now we are nearly 2 inches below average for where we should be this time of year, 1.84 inches to be exact. The good news is we've already received enough rain to go above average for the month of April. Hopefully the month of May will tick on up and have a green box by it once we get well into it as well. And like you heard Ansley just mentioning, April is one of our drier months of the year, contrary to what we may think with all these severe weather systems. So if we could finish April above average, that would do very good to keeping us pretty close to average as we head into right smack dab in the middle of the calendar year. So looking ahead, had a little bit of change with this graphic. Cinco de Mayo and Mother's Day now flowing up to the top. We have Cinco de Mayo on May 5th, and then Mother's Day will be a couple days after that, that following Sunday on May 11th. And then we have your Memorial Day weekend. So your next 3-day weekend, maybe getting a day off of work, having a trip with your family and friends, going up to the lake, going to the beach or something. May 26th is when that will fall. So still about a month until we get there. And then hurricane season has now made its way onto this looking ahead graphic that will kickstart on June 1st, and it will go all the way until November 30th. And be sure you're being on the lookout here on 13 WMAZ Plus, because the weather team has a hurricane special in the works right now, going to cover everything that you need to know ahead of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. That will do it for this week's extended weekend weather forecast. Be sure to tune in here every Friday at 10:30, along with every weekday at 10:30 for an extended look at your forecast and a look at what we're up to on the weather team.